write an emotional speech. And now we're recording, so this is great. It looks like we have one guest, and let me just check. And now we have two guests. The person who just identified themselves as the health insurance dad, let me just check. Would you be willing to just introduce yourself real fast and say hi? I know you had to be a Toastmaster to be here, I would think. Just checking. And while we're waiting for that, Kevin, if you'd like to introduce yourself, I think you know this group and they know you, but go right ahead.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Kevin Cunningham from Success Masters. Doing some work in evaluation lately, but I'm very interested in how to do an emotional, really rich speech.
Spectacular. Everybody, let's give them a hand.
Kevin.
And we're going to give one more chance to our health insurance dad. This is just your chance to say hi to everybody.
Health
Hi.
insurance down.
Silence is golden, golden.
Okay, in that case, we'll just jump right into this. This is Jim's show this evening, so I'm looking forward to what he has to say and getting a chance to maybe work with some emotional techniques or whatever it is. Help me welcome our speaker this evening, DTM Jim Kearney.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you. I'm trying to drop a eval form into the. There we go. If someone would kindly do an evaluation for me tonight, I just dropped it into the chat room. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad that we're all here. I have some fun information for you tonight. I'm going to be sharing my screen. When I share my screen, you guys are going to be lined up like this off onto the side, and I'm not going to be able to see you. So when you get to a point, if I'm talking too fast and you need me to slow down, please just make sure you unmute yourself and tell me to slow down. If you have questions as I'm talking, kindly unmute yourself. I would prefer this to be a dialogue rather than a monologue. Let me go ahead and share my screen and let's have some fun. Is this the right one? Yes, this is the right one. Okay, share screen and turn it into a. You guys see a single screen?
Yes.
Awesome. The first thing I want to make sure every single person here knows, since I'm getting ready to throw out all sorts of new information to you, is that you're not alone. Please remember, you are not in this alone. It's important that you feel free to take down this information here, my email address, my phone number. If you happen to have any questions, you can contact me. I'm glad I got my phone number right. Last night it was 919. I said, oh my God, I did the wrong one. All right, so let's see what we have here. Today, I'm planning on going over developing an emotional message, showing your engagement of the audience, using emotional language, creating an emotional experience, and then opening the emotional gates. These are the things that I want to cover. There'll be some tips and tricks. And at the end, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll go into a question and answer period. And let's go ahead and have all sorts of fun. So the first thing I want to talk about tonight is developing an emotional message. How many people had the old manuals before Pathways? And inside there, if you remember, the fourth project in there was get to the point. And this is important when you're trying to deal with emotional messages. You want to get to the point and you want to stay on point. Your audience matters. Your focus should not be on content. It should be on the point, because it's all about building a long-lasting relationship with your audience. Note that keyword is a relationship, with your audience. Content is always glorious, but it is the influence that you have where it is at. The influence is where it's at. Always ask yourself at every stage of preparation, does this serve my purpose? If it's not serving your purpose in your speech, if it's not about that point that you're trying to get across to your audience, then take it and rip it out and throw it away. It's meaningless to the speech that you are giving. Influence means that you want to change the thoughts, change the feelings, or change the actions that your audience is going to do. These are all emotional experiences that your audience can relate to. While you're trying to build this emotional content and emotional speech, you are trying to find that emotional wavelength that your audience is on. What will reach those listeners where they live? It's important. This is so far above the bare delivery of just regular content where you get out there and you start talking blah, 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 blah. And it shouldn't even be it shouldn't even need to be stated. But in my experience in Toastmasters, there's a lot of people who just go out there and give content and they don't create that relationship. And because they don't create that relationship, the feeling of the emotions for the audience, it's not being absorbed. They're not becoming part of your speech. If you want to, one thing you should remember is that the audience, when they connect to you, when they relate to you, they will always remember how you made them feel. They may not remember the speech, but they will remember that they came there, they saw you, they heard you, they felt a certain way, and they will remember that, even if they don't remember your content. Your goal should be to plan not only what you want to say, but how you want to say it while you're writing that speech out. Next, we want to talk about showing your engagement. Now, this is another important thing that has to go on, because if your story, when you're talking to the audience, if your story does not elicit any emotion, chances are it's not doing the job. You want your audience not only to hear your message, but to feel your message. And it is up to you to make it come to life. You want to spark that electricity between you and that audience. You want to say things that they can relate to. You want to bring them into your speech so they can feel what you felt, so they can experience what you experienced as you're relating that story. Be you, and it will all happen automatically. The connection won't occur if you are not yourself. Now, I can't sit here and try to explain this to people. I'll put it into a perspective that you can relate to. If you called someone up on the phone and you were talking and you were just talking like this, and they would sit there and listen. But if you smiled while you were talking, the person on the other end will hear that smile. And the same thing goes for your speech. If you're not yourself, that connection, that relationship between you and your audience will not happen. Audience will immediately spot someone who is passionate, a speaker who is so enthralled with what they're talking about, who believe what they're sharing in, who knows what they're talking about and willing to get out there, get on stage, and make it all happen for that audience. All your audience ever wants is you speaking honestly about something you believe in. Hone in on your relationship with your audience. Forget all about how you're doing. Forget about, oh my God, I forgot to move to this side of the stage. I forgot to move this side of the stage. I forgot to pick up this bottle. Forget about it. Be yourself. Your audience wants you. Worrying about your performance while you're doing it and trying to push you towards artificially creating all that most excellent speech will end in disastrous results. Instead, just engage your audience. I promise you, your audience will respond. I guarantee it. Of course, it takes some practice. There are things that you have to do. You want to make emotional connections with other human beings. It's not difficult, but you have things that you have to do. You should use the language of emotions to do it. Emotional words, emotional connotations create a heartfelt response in the people. If you use a word similar to like, and you change that word to love, it has a greater impact on your audience. If you use the word should, it pales in comparison to the word must. Listen to the differences between something similar to this. I like this development versus I love this solution. Which one has a greater impact on you? Mark Twain once said, the difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug. Change all your passive voices to active voices and practice, practice, practice. I guarantee you it's not going to happen overnight. But if you get out there and you do these things on a consistent basis, you will become an expert. If you want to become an expert in anything, do it for 10,000 hours. So if you want these speeches done, practice your speeches for 10,000 hours. Awesome way to get things going. You want to create an emotional experience. Now, we get out there and we give these speeches, right? It's no different than what I'm doing right now. I'm out here and I'm conveying information. And you should never just be satisfied with simply conveying it. Oh yeah, I can get out here and I can talk like this and I can tell you this is what I want you to understand. But if I turn around and I use all these vocal varieties and things like that, nothing is more boring to listeners than for you to sit there and convey information in a monotone. I guarantee you they will go to sleep. It's all about creating an emotional experience for your audience. Memos, PowerPoint decks, meeting minutes. You don't need to explain much with those. Send them out. They deliver their information just as efficient as you talking in a monotone or not talking at all. You are the human being who needs to be on hand. You're there because you're telling us what it means. What you say, how you say it, changes what the audience feels during your presentation. Always remember that you are taking your audience on a journey. You guys are going somewhere. You're going to witness something. The most mundane topic can be mesmerizing if it is delivered by a speaker who truly is enthralled and shares the topic with passion and gusto. And I have to tell you, the other day I was giving a lecture to area directors, and this type of thought process came up because one of the people in that lecture said, "Oh my God, Jim, you can make building mud pies the most professional job and do it so excitingly that I would follow you anywhere." It's all in your delivery. It's all in the way you make that audience feel. And that is what your speech needs to be going towards. You want to open up that emotional gate. Be open to your exciting and emotionally engaging ideas. Audiences need you to show the way. If you are not exhibiting emotions and emotional responses yourself, how could you possibly expect your audience to be receiving any and doing something with it? Why should they? Without humanity, they will give up on your content. You'll never deliver a perfect presentation. I have sat here and told this to plenty of people. No matter what you do, it will never, ever be perfect. You could be sitting there, you can change it a million times between now and next year and practice it in front of a mirror. And I guarantee you, when you get on that stage, you're going to forget something, you're going to make a mistake, and who cares? If you deliver it with passion, you are the expert, and that audience will listen to you. They will be enthralled. They will be out there with you on that entire journey, following you right to the end. Every time you present, you give the audience a very unique gift. You are a person speaking in real time. Speeches are creative outlets of self-expression. It's similar to paintings and novels. They allow you to be passionate about expressing a piece of yourself, a piece of your soul, a piece of your experience, and what happened to you while you were turning around and living that story in real life. And now you get to share it with everybody else. It is your perspective. It is your vision. And never allow anything to stop you from giving that to your audience. So a few tips and tricks here. The content bandwagon. It's always bright. It's always shiny. There's always, it's easy to hop onto. There's a plethora of content on anything that happens. If you don't believe me, when you wake up, you have content. What did you do when you wake up? How did you start your day? That's content to a speech. How you felt when you woke up. Did you have a scary nightmare? Was your heart pounding? Or did you have a lullaby and you woke up to nice soothing music and you were easy and calm? You have content, and it is emotional if you put it in that context. The influence is the be all and end all of any public speaking situation ever. Be yourself. Your authenticity is what the audience wants. Turn your passive voice to active voice. Get rid of your should, haves, would, beens, any, been, being, have, has, had. Get rid of all those. Make it into an active voice. Instead of saying, we should have done this, you can say, we must do. It's a total different perspective. Get rid of that passive voice. Let your emotions run wild. Allow the audience to see how vulnerable you are when you are hurting. Allow them to feel the love you feel when you are experiencing something. Let them see the real you, and they will respond accordingly. Visualize in your head how you want your audience to feel while you're putting this stuff together. Visualize it while you're experiencing your speech. Visualize it and make everything in your speech support that key point that you're trying to get across, including how you move, your gestures, how you dress, your expressions on your face, your inflections in your voice. Put them all together. Make it so that the audience is experiencing a movie in real life. The audience may not recall your actual words, but I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, I guarantee you, your audience will always record how you made them feel. Okay, we went over the developing emotional message, showing your content, using your emotional language, creating an emotional experience, opening the emotional gate, and of course, some tips and tricks. So now we have our famous question and answer period. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to open the floor up for anyone who has questions, because I covered a lot of material in the last 30 minutes. Oh my God, everyone's silent. Silence is golden, golden. Nadine,
All right, so let's say you have some stuff, like some content that you want to talk about, and in my mind, it's not emotional, but you're saying we want to make it emotional, but we also should not put a fake like face on. We want to make it authentic.
correct.
Do you just do, bless you, do you just do that with adjectives, or is there another trick?
What's the content? Show me the content.
Oh, no,
Pick
it's
one,
just
pick one piece of the content.
now it's just my whole. I'm stuck with my roller derby speech.
Okay. Are you sitting here telling me you can't make roller derby emotional? Oh my God. I can't believe that's true.
Now, I guess I don't know. Like, do I tell tiny little stories of like how I felt when I walked into the first tryout, or
Alright,
do I
so
tell? Because it's
what
been like
what
the whole,
you're gonna get ready to make an emotional speech. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is the point that you want to get across to the audience? What do you want that audience to learn from your speech? What's the one thing?
Okay, I have to figure that out.
Okay. When you have that one thing, when you know what that one thing is, then everything that you have in your speech revolves around that one thing. So if the thought process for roller derby is you want to talk about what it feels like in order to be the jammer. That's what you want them to understand, what it feels like to be the jammer. Then everything in that speech talks about how the jammer feels when certain things are happening. And that's how you make it emotional, because you're talking about that jammer. So if you're the jammer and you're going through and you want to talk about how you were going around the ring. Now, here's a big difference in how to do it and how to get emotions. Oh, I was the jammer, and the job of the jammer is to go around and pass the other jammer in order to get a point. Versus, oh my God, as a jammer, you have to pass the other jammer. You zip around this thing and you go all the way around. You see the difference? You see what I
Yeah.
mean?
More animated.
Yes.
Do I
So
use I words, or do I go into, do I say, when I did this, or
it's
because you said
it's
not in the past, you say use the
it's
active.
it's about you. So yes, it's you can use I, and yes, you can say I did versus I would have done. No, no would have
Oh,
done.
I see.
I
No,
did.
yeah, okay. Got
Right.
it.
Make it active. Don't make it passive.
Right.
Passive voice will put people to sleep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have some thoughts on that. Just and I don't know if this is okay, Jim, if I just say a few things on it.
Certainly, by all means, it's better to have a dialogue than a monologue.
Nadine, I would love to hear about the most difficult moment you ever had to deal with as a jammer. Right? It's like you guys are down 2 points. There's only 2 minutes left. These people have been impossible. They've knocked it down 25 times. And somehow you have to get through, and you not only have to score once, but you got to score twice. How is that ever going to happen? You know what I mean? Or some kind of major conflict that you guys had. And I know you're not very conflict oriented, but how,
The thing is,
you
like,
know,
I had a bunch of different games, and there was one last game that was kind of like because I'm technically retired because I moved to LA and I haven't caught up yet. But so my last game was in New York, and I was going to like kind of like tell a story of how I started to where I ended. But it became like a very chronological, oh, and then I did that, and then I did that, and became kind of boring and not emotional. So that's why I was like, okay, do I just pick one game and just explain the moment of, I don't know.
You can take them on that whole entire journey. If it had 5 different things, that means there's 5 different stories in there. So do 5 different speeches.
Oh, oh God, no. But
Hey, what's your goal? What is your goal? Right?
but
Every little
I'll-
thing. I'm telling
I
you,
would
content,
pick one, right?
content is easy.
Yeah, okay.
also have a note,
Content is around you 24 hours a day.
like Hal, I have just one note, which is that in this book, The Comedy Bible by Judy Carter, she points out that successful comedians, but this applies to what we're talking about now, is they talk in the present tense. So they don't say, and then I went here and I did this. They say, I'm doing this and I'm going, and that will make you more present to what you're saying. So their emotion will be more accessible because it's happening now. It's
Yeah,
not a recount of a story. It's an actual describing what's happening. So that I think would give you accessibility to what the feeling is in the moment.
so would you start a story saying like, back in the days, I did this thing. Now imagine I step on the track. I'm just gonna keep.
So every
And then you go into present tense. Like you go,
so far, everything that you just said is meaningless and doesn't even need to be in there.
uh,
It has no
learning.
it has no effect to your story whatsoever. It adds nothing to your story.
You could
Okay.
just start a speech by saying, I'm traveling down this road. Somebody comes up to me and pushes me off, like just something that is immediately in the experience of it is really what I'm just marking.
Okay.
What would be great, Nadine, is giving us the experience of what you see when you're like going after, person in front of you so you can jam them, or what you're going to do, person in back of you, when you jam them. Probably because none of us are jammers or none of us are roller derbies. we don't have the experience, but if you share the experience and describe what's happening when you were doing it, you can
So-
use the present tense.
So just to make sure I'm getting this right, I'm not really giving a lot of information. It's literally, I'm talking about feelings in a specific moment.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what you're seeing, what you're hearing, right? And what you're anticipating. This person just elbowed me in the face for the third time, and this time I'm going underneath the elbow and I'm taking out their knee. It's like,
So,
And
so
also what you're
Vivian has her
pursuing.
hand raised. Vivian has her hand raised.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Sorry, Vivian.
All right. Nadine, I'm gonna give you a scenario.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Here I am enjoying my mushroom soup. I was wondering, this couldn't possibly be a bay leaf. It's too tiny and it's hairy. It's oh my gosh, no wonder my date's looking at me that way. I thought he was just so passionately in love with me. It's my eyelash. It's my false eyelash. It's in my soup. See, Nadine? That's the emotion. It's called embarrassment. It's called shame. It's called feeling stupid. It's everything. Like, I thought he was so in love with me. No, I mean, one eye. So I'll push it further, Nadine. Oh my gosh, what should I do now? Should I fish it out of the soup? Or should I just wink at him with the one with the eyelash and just pretend it's part of the game? So you bring out a whole bunch of emotions. Now you're bringing out silly. So then you say, and all sorts of thoughts are running in my mind. In the handbook of etiquette, what does it say? What does a lady do when one eyelash falls into the soup? Thinking, thinking, thinking. So now you're into the emotion of thinking through pages of a book. I'm just making you go through all these emotions, and everyone in the room here is correct. Everything I just told you was and is in the present. You were there in front of the soup. You were not with me in the past. You could see the soup in front of you.
So you're drawing a picture about something, like you're
Yes.
explaining some, yeah, okay.
And then, see, Vivian didn't finish the story. She forgot to tell you that she reached in with her fingers, she licked it off, and then she put it back on, and she went with that eye.
It tastes good, Vivian.
Yeah, and the best part is, joke of the day, I went to the date wearing nice, expensive, bejeweled, word of the day, pajamas. Word of the day.
So, Kevin, you had a question
I had
before
a-
we went on with Nadine. So.
Sure,
what-
yeah,
what was
no.
your question?
As you were talking, I have a regular experience that to scale it too big puts me into performance mode and self-aware. I become self-conscious. Do you have any coaching around how to scale and put in emotion, but also not get lost in the performing of it?
Well, if you're getting so big that you're performing, then you're too big.
Okay.
Right? So scale it down. The very first thing that we talked about during this stuff was getting to the point and sticking with that one single point throughout the piece. So whatever point you're trying to drive to the audience, that's the only thing that should be there. And all that other stuff that's out here that because it's so big, all that stuff needs to be moved off to another speech somewhere.
I think you're
Jim?
saying, in other words, put your focus on the point, not on your performance.
That's correct. You
Okay.
never don't ever worry about your performance. Right?
Okay.
You want to be you. So if you focus on the point that you want the audience to learn,
Mm.
and you're self-based on that point, everything else will fall into place. If you try to get too big, then you're being fake, and it's all gonna go to crap. And the audience will know that. The audience can see that.
Kevin,
Yes.
Jim, May I
Yes,
share?
sure.
Kevin, I'm an improv performer. I'll
Mhm.
tell you a deep, dark secret. This is how this works. Number one, and everything's number one with me because anything beyond two is just too much. Okay, number one, I don't believe in performing, which is everything they tell us. Steeple your fingers, look to the right, look to the left. In total agreement with Jim, I don't know if you've seen me before. I'm a live talk show host. One is you do not perform. You will become fake person with fake personality delivering fake show. And my show is called Show and Tell. Number two, Kevin, from here on, just visualize this. When you open your mouth to say anything to a crowd of 20, 200, or 2,000, you're only talking to one person. This is what we do. We improv people, we're just pretending we're talking to our buddy over some beer. That's all you have to do.
Okay.
Because if you want to please 2,000 people, you're crazy. It's not going to happen. So you just tell a story like the way we're horsing around here. You just tell a story to one person at a time. And for success, people say, think big. Hey, man, I'm 70, think small. Less stress, more fun, and more effective. Think small. Think, if you can make one person in front of you laugh, you're done. Remember, when you're on TV, you only have the camera. And when you're on Zoom, you only have the camera. Also, by the way, if you want to deliver, stop looking at the people on the screen. Look at the camera, that tiny dot. You will not look at the screen. You look at the dot. And they'll tip that people forget. So Kevin, make one person laugh. Think of your silly friend, or think of your friend who laughs at everything you say. And always tell that story that you want to say to that person. Am I making sense? People in the
Sure.
room?
Yep.
It also helps if you get a coffee mug and put vodka, beer, or tequila. No one's gonna know. Just put it in a coffee mug. Toastmasters is never gonna know.
And if it's a glass, just make sure it's clear liquid. So it looks like water.
Vodka.
Yes. I will deny having told you that, Kevin, but when you see us broadcasters with coffee mugs, we're not telling you what's in it.
True enough.
So that's the big solution, huh?
Yes, now you know. And Kevin, remember, you're not trying to make the audience laugh. Don't do that. What you do is you just want to have a good time. You want to have a party. So that's what's missing in the manual, like that humor pathway. My goodness, I want to, roll it up, and if it were paper, throw it on the wall. You do not, and you do not ever deliver any statement with the intent to make people laugh. You want them to have a nice day at the party with you. Like you're eating. Remember, like back in school in the cafeteria, you would see this table where they would always be laughing louder and harder than most of the other kids. That's what you want. You want to be at that table. Everyone's horsing around. You also remember the class clown. He wasn't trying to perform. He was just being a brat. Then you be that brat. You be that class clown. Hey, come on, Kevin, the principal's not around. At our age, he's probably dead. So you can do anything you want. Think you're in the classroom being a brat. And May saying, oh, yes, that's all I've wanted to be all my life. I've always wanted to be a brat. That's what May, look at May, see? That's what she wants to be. I want to be a brat.
brat. I am a brat.
Hey, okay, there you go. And for that, you deserve a silver bell. There you go. So, Kevin, let's all give some applause and bells and inspire Kevin to give a 5-minute funny Kevin show next meeting. Come on, Kevin, you can do it. Get your coffee mug, put vodka. You can, you can do it. There you go.
Are you having any right now, Vivian?
Honey, it's 9:41 in the morning. That's very strange. It would have to be what? A screwdriver, yeah, orange juice and vodka, but that would make one an alcoholic at 9:41 in the morning. So did I share with you the tips and tricks? You do not go out writing things to make people laugh. I never do. Jim knows this. I never write my speeches. I never write my jokes. I never wrote anything I just said now. You just think of moments when you were laughing. Tip for you. Boys in the room. Jim, Hal, Kevin. Oh, Kevin, let me ask you now. On the spot. Jim and Hal confess that they don't own pajamas. Do you?
Jesus, we're back
I
to the
do.
pajamas.
I do
You
own
do?
pajamas. Yes.
See, Kevin is the only normal guy in the room. So, Kevin, can you give a seminar to Jim and Hal? They don't own pajamas. Man, I were interviewing them like, what's wrong with these two? They don't own pajamas. So, Kevin, please give them some coaching or mentoring on the benefits of wearing pajamas. Come on. See, Nadine is laughing. I know, Nadine, you're going to do roller derby in pajamas. See, that's another one. Pajamas, the word of the day. There.
So having heard all of that, I just like to tell it from a little different perspective. I think I absolutely agree, especially the whole thing about being passionate about whatever's important to you, right? If you're coming from that perspective of the thing that's important to you that you're trying to get across, you're going to be more animated and that. At the same time, that I think that coming from the world of stand-up comedy at one point, it's like, you know what, having certain punchlines that are very precise, understanding the setup, knowing there might be a single gesture that might make a huge difference, right? It's like, I think, you know, you need to master those things. And then after that, then when you get on stage, and this is the thing I learned from my stand-up comedy coach. He said, you practice, you do your preparation, and then when you get on stage, you just do what you do. You just be yourself, experiencing whatever those lines are and whatever those stories are, and whatever you do is totally okay. So that's just another thought on that.
Well, by golly, that sounded familiar.
It did. Yeah, absolutely.
So has our health insurance dad come back yet?
I think he's here.
I guess
He
not.
didn't leave. He's here. Question. Hal, question.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if you guys are funny enough, but if you can trust Jim, he's gonna put all sorts of words that I'm gonna send him, put them all in a paper bag, or what do you call this meter that goes around and around and it comes out with certain words, like when you have a raffle, right? So how quick improv on the spot. What happens if you draw the following words? It says lipstick, elephant, roller derby. Go. The time starts now. Lipstick, elephant, roller derby. Come on, Hal.
I got to tell you, I'm so tired of those roller derby elephants wearing lipstick. So thank you very much. But hang on, we've hijacked this meeting from Jim. We need to let Jim finish.
Well, I'm gonna make it real easy. If there are no more questions about the content, I'm gonna give you 15 minutes of your life back. I was hoping that the health insurance dad would have some questions or some comments or something, but whoever he is, he's being quiet.
I think he's with a client.
Oh my goodness.
I actually have one more question.
Yes, let's hear
So-
it.
When we have an emotional speech, do we try to engage the audience, or because usually, like in a speech, you want to do something.
If you're giving an emotional speech, your engagement will happen automatically.
Okay, you don't even do anything to like, oh, let's do this,
No.
guys. And this is
It will happen automatically. Now, there's a difference between engaging and interacting.
oh,
So remember, right? So when you're engaging, you're getting the audience to think or to feel something based on what you're saying. versus interacting where you actually want to make them physically do something, then you have to point them out and say, okay, grab a pencil and paper, or everyone stand up and take a deep breath. And right, that's interacting with them, right? You're making the audience become part of your speech or do something within your speech. So there's a
Okay.
difference between the two. I personally, I would prefer to see Toastmasters do more interacting and move away from monologue and move towards a dialogue, because life's not a prepared speech. Right? You hear Vivian say it all the time. Life's
Yeah.
not a prepared speech. And we live this way and we speak this way, and this is what we do in real life. And so we should be doing Toastmasters the same way.
I have a question.
Mhm.
42.
So I've been hearing that without eye contact, you lose the audience. How do you like grab it back, or
You
I guess
open
if
your
you-
eyes.
I am opening my eyes. But when you lose the audience, how you grab them back?
There's different ways that you can do it, right? So if you're talking in a monotone, it's very easy to lose the audience. If you start hitting exciting parts and you start raising your voice, the audience will come back. If you clap your hands together, the audience will come back. Right? If you do something that is out of the ordinary, the audience will come back. So don't sit there and worry about, oh my God, I'm losing the audience. Oh, what am I gonna do? Yeah. And if you start worried about that stuff and everything is inside your head, you know what? Maybe you're the one that needs to come back. Slap the table, bring yourself back. And when you do that, the rest of them will come with you.
Okay, I'll try that. Thank you.
Welcome. Have fun.
One more question.
No, you already had your one more question. This is the second question.
No, Nadine, go ahead.
Hmm.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Yes, of course you can ask.
Like slowing up and like speeding up your voice and slowing up your voice, like down your voice, it also is part of creating emotion, right? And pause.
Sure,
Mhm.
Not just okay.
sure.
Oh.
What did you feel when I was doing?
I didn't think about it. I feel like
I'm not asking you to think about it. I'm asking what did you feel?
oh, what did I feel? Excitement. Yeah. when-
Yes, right? See?
Okay. Okay. Great.
Tim,
Yes.
may I share?
I don't know. Every time I talk to you about sharing, 5 minutes becomes 2 hours.
Because you like. Because you like. All right. So Nadine, so this is public speaking, Jim and Vivian way. All right. A little trick for emotions is what I do, why I go on picture mode. If you can make people feel without seeing body language, just think how powerful you can be. It's called the power of radio, the power of podcast. And many people argue that, I have to do this and you have to do that and you have to look this way. But can you imagine if you have all your body language perfect and then the voice is like this? This is a holdup. Can you please give me your money? That's not the way to rub it back. So deliver the voice and then work on the body language, etc. It's just a trick that we do because it's terrible when you have all the body language correctly and the voice tone is just not there. How? Okay, I'll tell you how. You see what I'm doing? This is picture and you hear my voice. You do that on your camera. You record whatever you want to record. Try 2 minutes. Record anything. Say anything for 2 minutes. Record it. Then you do two things. I'm sure Hal has taught this. You watch the video without the sound and you try to analyze. Was that person credible? You watch a video. It's called Silent Movies. Charlie Chaplin. The next thing you do is you turn the sound on and you turn your cell phone over. You don't watch it. You listen to your story. Are you credible? Versus you turn the sound off, you listen to your voice. Are you credible? Amen. Hallelujah. See, you will know if you're monotone. You do two things. You watch yourself without sound and you listen to yourself without visuals. Two skills.
Good idea.
So that is a good idea, except one thing, Nadine. She said that you have to say anything for 2 minutes. Please don't. I can't stand hearing anything for 2 minutes. Oh my God. You drive yourself nuts.
Just have fun. I think the whole point is don't try to do something. You just want to be something. Nadine, come on, look at you. You're beautiful. You're a human being. You are not a human doing. Just be. Don't try to think, what am I supposed to do? Think about this. What do I want to be? It's just think, come on, people. Here's an oldie telling. It's like romance, finally going out on a date with someone you've had a crush on for the longest time. You don't want to think of what you're going to do. You're thinking of how happy you're going to be all night. So it's, you put a movie in your mind, not what you're going to be doing. It's like, are you going to make him laugh? Are you going to look at Hal? Hal's like, should I hold her hand now or later? See, it's being, not doing, right? Maybe one of these days, Jim, I should come back and create a movie. Hal's gonna like this, right? Because I do directing. I'll direct and just make you do it on the spot, improv. You're gonna love it. And Hal is going to be the star because he is. Come on now.
Why is she picking on me?
So Vivian is saying all this stuff, but she keeps, if you notice throughout the whole meeting, she was asking interview questions. Do you own pajamas?
So Nadine, do you have pajamas? See, that's Jim. That was a leading question. Okay, Kevin, they're winning. There's Jim, there's Hal, and there's a Nadine. So we have the no pajama people here.
Should we stop recording?
No, this is the fun part.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You see, May, this is what public speaking and conversation supposed to be. Life is not a prepared speech. I've given this talk in so many countries with Toastmasters. 24 hours a day. If you sleep 8 hours, May, cut my neck. Show me someone who can deliver prepared speech 16 hours a day, every day. Cut my neck if you can show me someone who can do it. So this is life, and this is the best ever public speaking as a group you've had. I visited you for a couple of times. Kevin's like, oh my God, I'm sorry I came. So there you go.
As he looks at you with the question, what, in his eyes.
But
Smile, smile, Kevin.
It's so funny. So Kevin's gonna take a survey. He's the survey guy for next week. You're gonna count who owns pajamas and who doesn't. For today, we know that 3 people don't, and the 3 of us are not telling. Okay? The 3 of us are not telling. So what emotion do you have right now, Kevin? Where I said the 3 three people here don't own pajamas and 3 are not telling. What's the emotion going on?
I'm really
Brenda,
not,
Out here.
I'm not in the space of this
Confu-
conversation. but-
Confused.
He doesn't
I
want to
thought-
be here.
I think it's regret. Like, oh. So much for emotions. Nadine, let me,
I wanna say
Let's see
something.
if there's any other questions.
Can we just wrap up the thought of kind of like in a summarize, let's say like to make an emotional speech, we need to kind of like stay in the moment, recreate a feeling that you had during some experience. Use your voice to slow down, speed up. I mean, I guess that you do that automatically, right? When you recreate it, but basically staying in the present, not so much in the past, and just explaining one little moment rather than a whole timeline, right? Is that
Correct.
Okay.
One point. 1 point, whatever that 1 point is, and be yourself. You have to be yourself.
okay?
All right, so let me go ahead and stop recording because we made a fool of ourselves enough for now.